Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Firstly, I would appreciate that you're interested in learning SQL and found some time to gain knowledge on SQL. If you're a beginner and want to get successful career with SQL, you are on a right spot. We'll start from scratch and I'll take you through each and every step from installation of the query, writing these queries and executing those to get the results. Let's not delay. As I promised in my description, no theory, only practical. So just let's begin viewing these few slides to see what exactly SQL is and why we are taking this time to study SQL and how it will benefit us. Okay, so let's start with the full form of SQL. It stands for Structured Query Language. Next. Requires little coding knowledge. Yes, SQL is such a language in which we do not need to learn a lot of programming or a lot of coding. For example, if it's simple data retrieval, if you want to get some data from the database, you don't need to learn a code. All that is required is syntax. There are few syntax which are readily available. The cheat sheets are on Google, and we just need to learn those syntax and we just need to insert the right syntax, the right information, name of the tables to get the data. And there is no need to learn the hard and fast coding thing. And we'll learn more about all these select, insert, update functions in further video. Okay, so before we go to the next step, I want to let you learn why SQL came into invention. Okay, so in earlier days, when there was nothing like SQL, people used to use their pen and paper or maybe some kind of Excel sheet, but before that it was exactly pen and paper. So let's assume this is kind of pen and paper thing where we have multiple rows and some columns, and let's suppose there is a manager of an organization who has some employees working there. How will he maintain the data? Employee name, right? And then maybe join date. And what else? Maybe shift, right? So let's say the first name is John, second is Michelle, then let's say Andrew, and one more name, that is Ricky. Join date, let's say someone join on 1st of 2022, the second person joined on 1st of February. This is just a testing data, and then that's how a manager will maintain the records, right? 1st of March, and maybe someone joined, Ricky joined on 21st of April 2022, and let's say the manager assigned them some shifts, A, and then B, and then B. So this is the way people used to maintain their records in the older days on pen and paper. Then the era came for Excel, when people maintain their data, their information in Excel, and using Excel you can maintain a kind of 1,000 and 10,000s of records, right? With pen and paper we could hardly maintain hundreds of 200s of records. But what happened in this century, people and the records, these are increasing day by day. Now it's not about thousands, now it's about millions. So to handle millions of records, Excel is of no more of use, because it's hard to find out, it's hard to fetch the data, it's hard to fetch a particular records. Let's say there are 1 lakh of records and we want to find out how many Johns are in there. To do that, we'll have to put a filter here to find out how many Johns are in there. So to simplify these kinds of queries, nowadays we use SQL. Let's switch back to SQL. We were here. Yes, SQL needs little coding knowledge. Then third, why SQL? So SQL is mainly used for storing and retrieving data from databases. It's a simple query-based language which is easy to read and write. Then standard language for database management systems. Yes, this is a standard language. Almost all of the database management systems, they use SQL. Companies such as Oracle, Microsoft, Sybase, Ingress, they all use SQL to power their databases. Lastly, this is an open source software, which means we do not need to buy or pay for this. It's almost free of cost, and we just need to download the right software. It enables everyone to store and update information in convenient and secure way. So, I know you are wondering how SQL works. SQL works by reading and displaying the content stored in the fields and tables of database. What does that mean? So if we go back to our Excel sheet, let's assume this is a SQL database. In the backend, this is how SQL stores its information. And to retrieve the data, the SQL engine goes and reads everything. For example, we want to see what is the joining date of Ricky. So what SQL will do, it will go read like this each and every record, and it will find out, okay, so joining date of Ricky is join date, this column, and name Ricky here. So that's how SQL actually works, just like the way human reads, but it's way too fast. You will see in fraction of seconds you will get your results. So SQL works by reading and displaying the content stored in fields and tables of database. And it's a database. What is database? It's a collection of tables. The way we just saw that sheet of manager, that is just one sheet. But in SQL, it will have number of tables which are made up of rows and columns that contain relevant and useful information. So lastly, CRUD. It forms the foundation of SQL. So what exactly CRUD stands for? C. Create or putting data into the table. The way in the last Excel sheet in which we were referring, the first thing was we entered the data. So the first foundation thing of SQL is we have to have some data inside the table. Second, read query data out of the table. Once we have the data in there, next step is to read that data. Third, what happens if there is something wrong, some mistake, or some information has to be updated? Does SQL allows that? Yes. In SQL, it's not that once you have entered the data you cannot modify it. No, you can always go and modify the data. So that's how it happens, through update change data. Lastly, can we remove the data? Yes, SQL allows to remove the data from the table. So these are 4 foundational things in SQL. So with this, we end up with our first session knowing the basics of SQL. See you in the next video, how to install SQL and start writing queries. See you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.